So now we will start the other topic, that is the connective tissue. Okay, so we are done with the epithelial tissue, the types, the functions, the positions and all that, right? Now we will starting with the connective tissue and the function, the position and the types. So the name itself suggests connective tissue. What will be its main function? Its main function will to connect or link two different organs or tissues together. Okay, so this is a type of tissue which is mostly abundant found, right? Which is mostly abundantly found. Okay, so when I say it is found abundantly, it means it is the major form of tissue which is found in the organism, and it is widely distributed. When I say widely distributed, it means that key wherever in the body, if I see a specific type of tissue, let us say epithelial tissue, the epithelial tissue will be located at a specific area. It may be on the surface of the body, or it may be in the lining of the internal body parts, right? But when we say the connective tissue, they will be found in different parts. It may be found in the brain as well. It will be also found in my cardiac liver also. It will also be found in heart. It will also be found in blood. So it is the type of tissue which is found everywhere. Okay, so it is most widely distributed tissue. Now the main function of this connective tissue is to linking the different tissues or organs together and supporting them, right? It comprises of widely spaced cell embedded in matrix. So what does it contains? It contains mainly it consists of widely spaced cells, and they will be having cells which will be having a lot of space. Before this we have seen the epithelial tissues are tissue which do not have the intercellular space, but contradictory to that, these connective tissues are tissues which will be having lot of space between these cells. So it is having high amount of intercellular matrix and intercellular spaces, right, which are present in a matrix. They are embedded in a matrix. These cells are embedded means they are fixed in matrix. This is the matrix. Blue portion is considered as a matrix, and this my small globular cells are basically observed over here. So these cells are embedded or fixed within this matrix. Okay, and all these connective tissues will be consisting mainly the embedded cells, okay, and the matrix, and along with that they will be also consisting some specific fibers, or we can say protein fibers. These fibers are collagen and elastin. So they mainly consist of three components. The first, you may write it down. The first component is the cells. The first component is the cell, okay, that is the structural part. The second component is the matrix, within which these cells are embedded, and the third component may or may not be, but most of the tissues will be containing the collagen or elastin. These are the structural proteins. They are fibrous proteins, okay, so they will be elastin or collagen, and it will be absent in the blood. So it's an exception here we can see. So all the connective tissues except blood, okay, will be having this structural proteins called as collagen or elastins. This proteins, the function of this protein is to provide the strength. Elasticity and flexibility to the tissues. Okay. Now the matrix what we can observe here, or the ground substance, is formed due to accumulation of the polysaccharide secreted by the cells. So how it is formed? It is formed by the secretion of the polysaccharide cells. This is my cell. Let us say, suppose this is my cell. Now this cell will be secreting some specific type of polysaccharides out of its body, and this polysaccharides will be deposited around it, and this polysaccharide which is deposited around the cells will be responsible for formation of ground substance, or we can also consider that as a matrix. Okay, so that was about the connective tissue, a brief discussion. Now the next one is the different types of connective tissue. Now here the connective tissue can be classified into different types on different bases. First of all, on the basis of the packaging, okay, and the other basis will be basically on the basis of the function. So here we are observing on the basis of the function. So first of all, this connective tissues can be of mainly three types. That is, it can be mainly of three types. What all? It can be proper connective tissue, skeletal tissue and vascular tissues. These proper connective tissues are again further divided into areolar, adipose, white fibrous tissue, yellow elastic tissues and reticular tissues. And the skeletal tissues are divided into two types, cartilage and bone. You would have heard about this, hyaline fibrous and calcified cartilage, white fibrocartilage and elastic cartilage. In detail we'll be studying in the bones locomotion part. Okay, so right now we need to just go through a brief detailing. Okay, next is in bone, compact bone and spongy bones. Vascular tissue similarly are of two types, that is blood and lymph. So here we will be discussing the main important aspects of this connective tissue rather than going through all these tissues, right? Because each of this tissue will be dealt in a detail in specific lessons, specific chapters which are dedicated to that particular part. Okay, so similarly I have told you that connective tissue can be divided into different types on different bases. So this was on the basis of the function, what the function do they carry out, and here these connective tissues are divided again into three parts. It is on the basis of the compactness, or we can say it is on the basis of the packaging. So here these are the loose connective tissues. The name itself suggests that they will be having the high intercellular spaces between them, and hence they are not highly compactly packed. The second will be dense connective tissues, where the cells will be densely packed. They will be having very least amount of space between them. While the third one is specialized connective tissue. These are the tissues which will be specialized or modified for carrying out a specific function. They will be cartilage, bone and blood, right? And now these loose connective tissues are of different types. Dense connective tissues are of different types. So we'll be discussing each of them one by one now. Okay, I hope things are clear up to this. Okay, so let us start with the loose connective tissue, right? So when we say loose connective tissue, the name itself suggests the cells. I have already told you the main part of the tissues will be three things. This is a matrix, the cells and the fibers. So here the cells and fibers are loosely arranged. It does not have very space between. It will not be tightly packed. It means they will be having high space between them. Arranged in a semi-fluid ground substance, that's a matrix. They are areolar, adipose and reticular tissues. So first of all, let us see the areolar tissues. These tissues are also called as packaging tissue. Keep in mind, this tissue, that is areolar tissue, is also called as packaging tissue. Why? Because it is a type of tissue which is found in all the organs. It is a tissue which is found in all the organs. Why? Because whatever the organs are made, they will be having some specific cells within them, but it will be requiring some tissue, some cells to fill up the space. So that this tissue, that the areolar tissue, is utilized for filling up the space, and hence we can say it is used for packaging. Like you would have seen, you might get a gift. Okay, you might receive a packaging from the Amazon or something like that. Okay, so that packaging, that gift would be basically, suppose it is a delicate in nature. So what will they do? They'll pack with some specific type of sponge or specific type of bubble wrapper, right? So that it will provide a cushion to that particular gift article, and it will not damage it. It will protect it from the damage. Similarly, these tissues will be used for packaging the different tissues in organs. Okay, so they are mainly found in all the organs. Next, most widely, next is it also found between the skins, organs and blood vessels, nerves and in bone marrow, as I just told you. It often serves as a support framework for epithelium. As we have seen, the epithelium tissues has basically attached to the surface with the help of some specific type of junction. So it is attached with this type of surfaces. The surfaces which is provided to the epithelium is nothing but the areolar tissues in most of the cases, right? It contains fibroblast, macrophages and mast cells. Now phibroblasts are those cells which are basically responsible for formation of these fibers. The second one is the macrophages. Macrophages are specific type of cells. These are specific type of phagocytic cells. Phagocytic cells means that they will be responsible for killing the cells. They are basically irregular in shape and they are able to engulf any foreign particles. So macrophages are specific type of immune cells, we can say, or they are also they will be responsible for engulfment of any other foreign particle which is coming inside the body. So it contains the fibroblast, the macrophages and the mast cells. These mast cells have got connection with the allergic response. When the body is basically affected by a specific foreign particle, so it would be imparting some specific allergic response in a body, and this allergic response is mediated by mast cell, which will be discussed in the class 12th. We will have got a specific topic for that. Okay, so this was about the areolar tissue. The other thing, the fibroblasts produce and secrete two type of fibers, that is inelastic white fibers and elastic yellow fibers. Now it is again important, the fibroblast which are present over here, will, the name itself suggests fibroblast. It means that these are the cells which are responsible for formation of fibers, and these fibers can be of two types, that is the white fibers. Keep it in mind, the white fibers are the one which is non-elastic. It means that it is the one which is responsible for tensile strength. While the other one is a yellow fiber, and the yellow fiber are elastic in nature. It means it is responsible for the stretchability of that particular tissue. Okay, so it is responsible for elasticity, or we can say stretchability of that particular tissue. So it is responsible for formation of two type of fibers, yellow fibers and white fibers. It holds various tissues together, and it helps to repair body during the injury. So these are the functions, areolar tissues. So we have seen what are areolar tissues, where are they found, and what are the functions, okay, and what does it consist of. So it is also called as packaging tissue. They are mainly found in the different organs. They will be filling the space. They are responsible for binding the cells, and they're also responsible for repairing the body after the injury. And they are having the fibroblast, which will be producing two type of fiber, that is yellow fiber, which is elastic one, and the white fiber, which is inelastic one. Okay, so that was about this loose connective tissue. Next is, here we can see the different type of cells over here. Like this is my loose connective tissues. Okay, and this is my fibroblast. You can see this is my fibroblast, which will be giving rise to two type of fibers, that is yellow fiber and white fiber. So here we can see this collagen fiber is my white fiber, and this elastin fiber is my yellow fiber. You can just differentiate the color as well. Here the white fiber is the collagen fiber, and this elastic fiber is my yellow fiber. Okay, we'll be also discussing the reticular fiber later on. Okay, and these are the macrophage cells. You can see, you can observe they are having the pseudopodial extensions are observed, by which they will be engulfing the other foreign particles within them and help to get body rid of the foreign particles. Okay, these are the fat cells. Fat cells are the cells which are storing the fats. Okay, and these are the mast cells, as are responsible for allergic response. Neutrophils is the type of WBC. Okay, and mast cells, as we told. So these are different cells which are found in the cellular matrix. Okay, which are found in the loose connective tissues. Okay, and this the fluid which is observed in background is nothing but the ground substance. Here you can see that these are nothing but the ground substance, the fluid which is observed in the background. And when we have seen in the epithelial tissue, we have observed that in the epithelial tissues, the blood vessels are not able to penetrate. They are not able to reach to the epithelial tissues. But in the case of connective tissues, they are able to penetrate within these tissues. Okay, so you can see the blood capillaries also over here. Okay, so this was about the different tissues which were observed in the loose connective tissue. Now, the areolar tissue will be also having another type. The loose connective tissue will be also having another type, that is the adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is the specific tissue which is responsible for storage of fats. It is responsible for storage of fats, and mainly located beneath the skin. They are mainly found beneath the skin, below the skin. Okay, it consists of oval and round cells that are filled with fat globules called as adipocytes. The cells of adipose tissue, keep in mind, it can come in question. The cells of adipose tissues are called as adipocytes. What are they called? They are called as adipocytes. It provides insulation, storage of excess energy. It means that these are the cells which are present. You would have seen, if you basically, the organisms which are found in the polar regions, like the white bear and this seals and all that, so they will be having a very fat layer beneath their cells. Why do they have that fat? Because this fat deposition provides insulation from the heat loss. So they will be preventing the heat loss from the body, and hence they are providing a specific type of protection against the external environment. Okay, so similarly in over here also, these are basically present beneath the skin cells, and also responsible for providing the insulation from the environment. Like they will be preventing the loss of energy when the surrounding is cold, when the surrounding is having low temperature, the body will start releasing its energy. So this releasing of energy is basically prevented by this fat deposition. It also function as a shock absorber to the vital organs like kidney and heart and all that. So they are always surrounded with some specific fat cells, so that whenever some sort of mechanical displacement occurs, or mechanical engineering may occur, or a different type of shocking incident may occur, so that fat tissues surrounding the vital organs will be protecting these organs from the shock. Okay, so this is about the adipose tissue. Next is, they're mainly found in the case of males. In the case of males, they're mainly found under the abdomen, in the abdomen, under the stomach. Okay, and hence you would be observing the people who are obese, okay, particularly, or the males particularly, after a particular age they will start developing the big bellies. Okay, why? Because deposition of the storage of fats in this area. Similarly, in the case of the females, it is also found in the adipocytes are found in the hip regions particularly. Okay, and these are used as a storage material. So whenever the body consumes a higher amount of the nutrients than required, then what will happen? It will start converting them into fat, and this fat will be stored in the adipose tissue for the future use. Okay, so that was about the connective tissues, adipose tissue, right? Now the third one is the reticular tissue. The name itself suggests reticular. It means that it would be forming a network. It will be forming a network, right? So it's again a star shaped and form a network like structure. The fibers are made up of reticulin proteins. So we have seen different type of fibers. First fiber in the case of this areolar tissues were the collagen fiber and the elastin fiber, that is the white fiber and the yellow fiber. Now here the reticular protein is responsible for formation of fiber. Present in spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, etc. These are the different organs connected, associated with the lymphatic system, forms the lymphoid tissues of the body, helps in the formation of blood cells as well, and we'll be seeing in the case of how the blood is formed in different chapters. So there we'll be studying in detail about this. Now we are done with the loose connective tissue. The second type of tissues will be dense connective tissue. As the name itself suggests, over there the extracellular matrix or the ground substance was present in a heavy amount, while over here the number of cells will be higher compared to the loose connective tissue. So here in a minimum, in a small volume of fluid, there will be higher amount of cells will be present. So cells, fibers and fibroblasts, again three things are the cells, fibers and fibroblasts are arranged compactly with a very little matrix. As the name suggests, it's densely packed. Okay, so dense regular connective tissue, it will be of again different types, that is dense regular connective tissue and dense irregular connective tissues. Okay, dense regular connective tissue, dense regular and dense irregular. So dense regular are of again different types, so we will be seeing tendon and ligaments. So what happens over here? Many parallel bundles of fibers and collagen fibers are present. Let us see over here. Let us see there. So this is my dense regular, where these are my collagen fibers. These are my collagen fibers. These are my collagen fibers which are present parallel to these fibers. Okay, these are the bundles of fibers. And they are present along with this. They are surrounded by these collagen fibers. Okay, they are distributed in a proper pattern. They are arranged in a proper pattern, and hence we can say a regular connective tissue. So they are dense but regular. Why? Because dense. Why they are called dense? Because they will be the amount of the matrix will be comparatively low. But it is also called as regular because these cells are arranged in a particular pattern. While when we see this dense irregular, here we cannot observe any particular pattern. These are randomly placed. They are not following any pattern like the regular cells. Okay, so here these are of two types, that is the dense regular and dense irregular. Dense regular can be of again two types. It can be tendons. Now these tendons are consisting the white fibrous tissues. Keep it in mind, it may be asked in question, and normally it is asked. So tendons are basically the tissues which contain the white fibers. As I already told, it will be consisting of collagen. It the collagen which is responsible for tensile strength. Okay, and the fibroblasts are arranged almost continuously, and hence they are basically forming a dense structure. Tough and inelastic, providing the higher tensile strength. This is important. The main function of tendons is to connect the skeletal muscle to the bone. So this is my bone, suppose. So bone will be connected with this. Bone will be, just a minute. So these bones will be connected. This is my suppose bone. This bone will be connected with the muscles. This is my muscles on this bone. These are my muscles on the bone. Okay, so there has to be some connection between these bones and muscles. This is basically taken care by this tendons. This is taken care by this tendons. Okay, so that was about this tendons. And other one is ligaments. Ligaments are the one which consist yellow fibers instead of white fiber. It means they will be consisting the elastin proteins. Which protein? Elastin, right? So they will be consisting the yellow fibers instead of white fiber, and these fibroblasts are scattered and responsible for providing the elasticity, and it is responsible for connecting the bone with other bone. So it will be responsible for connecting with bone with other bone. So suppose this is my one bone and it is basically connected with other bone over here. Okay, so there has to be some sort of connection over here. Even there are a lot of small bones also present which may be connected with each other. So this connection between these two different bones are basically mediated by ligaments, while the connection between the bones and the muscles is taken care by the tendons. Okay, so that was about the dense regular connective tissue. Other one is dense irregular connective tissue. We can understand that it will be irregularly placed. It means they will not be having proper space between them. Okay, they will not be properly arranged. Okay, next is specialized connective tissue. Specialized connective tissues are those tissue which are responsible for carrying out a specific function, which will be of three types. That is bones. These are different three types mainly. That is bones, cartilage, and lymph. Okay, so we'll be discussing the bone and cartilage in detail right now. Let us start with the bones. So what are bones? Okay, you are aware of these bones. These are a type of skeletal tissue. These are a type of skeletal tissue which is responsible providing the structural framework to the body. These are the one responsible for providing the structural framework to the body, or we can also say that are responsible for forming the endoskeleton in organism. They are responsible for formation of endoskeleton in organism. Mainly they are found in the higher level of organism, higher level of animals. Okay, apart from animals, they are not observed in any other organisms, right? There are many other animals as well in the lower level which may not be having bone as well. So they are hard but non-pliable. Hard, non-pliable. It cannot be basically pressed easily. Mainly consisting of the matrix of bone consists of calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. You have to keep this in your mind. So they consist mainly of calcium salts. What salts? Calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. And they will be also consisting a specific protein called as osin. They will be consisting of protein called as osin along with the collagen. Okay, these are different structures. These are different structures, components of the bone. Now, bone is a living tissue. Bone is a living tissue which will be having matrix, and this matrix consists of longitudinal canals called as Hervetian canals. You can observe here. So here we can see the Hervetian canals are there, present as a cavity, and this cavity is filled with the matrix, and this cavity surrounding this cavities will be different type of concentric ring-like structures. This concentric ring-like structure, concentric rings-like structure is called as lamella. They are called as lamella. So the layers called lamella as a symmetry around this Hervetian canals will be present. Within these lamellar rings, we will be having the space filled with the fluid. Which are called as lacunae. So here we can see the center white cavity is called as Hervetian canals, and surrounding which will be having the different concentric ring-like structures which will be called as lamellae, and these lamellae will be enclosing the fluidy substance present within them, and that will be called as lacunae. So we are done with all the three things, and this whole system will be called as Hervetian systems. Okay, what is the function of the bones? The many functions. The most important functions are being mentioned over here. Responsible for support. They provide the proper support and protection. They are also providing the protection to different important organs, like the skull bone is responsible for protecting the brain, and so vertebrate column is protected by spinal cord. So there are different organs which are basically protected by bones. Okay, they are helping the protection and providing support to the body. If the bone will be absent from a body, the person will not be able to stand still. Weight bearing function, the long bones like the leg bones, okay, will be responsible for bearing the whole weight, and it is responsible for stretching us against the gravitational force. It also responsible for bringing all the movement. When you see the different type of joints present in a body, which is helping us to move from one place to another, and hence they are responsible for bringing movement. This movement may be a movement of a body part like waving a hand, okay, or it may be the movement of an organism totally from one place to another. That's called as locomotion. So it is one the responsible for carrying out the body movements and locomotion both. And it also serves as a site of production of blood. It's also serving as a site of production of blood, mainly the bone marrow. So bone marrow, which is found in the femur particularly in the adults, okay, while in the case of fetus it will be found in other cells as well, in the other parts as well. It will be of two types, yellow bone marrow and the red bone marrow. So the yellow, okay, so that was about the function of bones. Next one is cartilage. Considerably, the cartilages are not that much tough comparatively to comparing to this bones. They will be a bit flexible, and they are also skeletal tissue. And when the organism is during the fetal stage, it or embryonic stage, the different organ at a young stage, there are a lot of bones, that are a lot of parts of a body which are made of cartilages. But later on, with the help during the development, what may happen is cartilages may get replaced with the help by bones. Okay, so they are elastic and strong, but softer than bone, as we told. So compared to the bones, they are more elastic in nature. They are more stretchable. The matrix is solid and pliable and resists the compression. Unlike the bone, over here the matrix is, although it is solid, but it's pliable. Like we can even compress it. Okay, we can compress a bit. Okay, and it will be basically, and it will again regain their shape. The cartilage cells are called as chondrocytes. In the case of bones, the bone cells are called as osteocytes. Okay, over here it is called as chondrocytes. Are enclosed in a small cavities within the matrix. Secret how they are formed, they will be responsible they will be secreting some fluid around them, and they will be embedded within them. So this matrix is formed by the chondrocyte itself. Okay, and they have got high elasticity due to presence of protein chondrin. This elasticity is basically attributed to the protein chondrin present within them. Cells are widely spaced, and the matrix is reinforced by fibers. The cells are having a lot of space between them, and which will be having intercellular matrix present within them, and this matrix will be also having the fibers. Okay, these fibers are responsible for its elasticity. Okay, and where are they found? They are mainly found embryonic skeleton of vertebrates, later produced like embryonic skeleton of vertebrates will be made up of cartilage, and later on it will be basically replaced by the bones. Okay, now it is also found in tip of nose, limbs, and adults and all that. Vertebral column between the adjacent bones. When we see the vertebral column, it will be having different bones, and it will be also found in the adjacent of those bones. And in adult skeleton of sharks, the shark skeleton is basically made up of cartilage totally. So that's about the cartilage. Here you can see the chondrocyte, that is a chondrocytes, that is a cartilage cell, is embedded in the matrix, and it will be surrounded by the collagen fiber, which is responsible for its strength. Okay, so that was about the connective tissue. We are done with connective tissue. We have seen different type of connective tissues: loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, irregular, and we have seen reticular tissue and skeletal tissue, which consists of bones and cartilage. These were the main type of connective tissue which we should be dealing right now. There are some specific tissue which are still pending, but we'll be discussing in particular chapter. Okay, now vascular tissue. Okay, so name itself suggests vascular tissues are those tissues which are responsible for carrying the substance from one part to another. Okay, so these are the motile connective tissues. Write down, there are the motile connective tissues, and consisting of fluid matrix. The matrix which are present in epithelial and the connective tissue which we have seen before were semi-solid in nature, we can say semi-fluid in nature, but over here it will be totally fluid in nature. It means they will be able to flow from one place to another very easily. The matrix is without fibers. Over here we have seen the fibers were present in the in the different connective tissues, but over here no epithelial, no fibers are present, neither the collagen nor the elastins. Okay, but without any fibers, it will be flowing from one place to another place. The vascular tissue helps in the transport of material from one place to another.
The main vascular tissue which is present in the body is the blood, and it is the mobile and watery. Around 95% of the body, the blood will be consisting of plasma, and which will be again having a we will see the major part of the blood which is plasma, and it will be having the majorly formed by the blood, water. So it is consisting of water too much. Next, it consists of mainly two things, that is the plasma, a fluid matrix, and the cells called as blood corpuscles, which will be of again different types, RBC, WBC, and all that. In the whole human adult, mainly the body can consist of around 5 liters of blood. While the pH of the blood is 7.4, we can say it's a slight alkaline in nature. The main component of the blood is the plasma. It's yellowish fluid. And the major component of this plasma is the water, which constitute around 92% of the total plasma. So total blood, out of the total blood, the 55% of the total volume of blood is basically due to the plasma. The solid materials in plasma includes the plasma proteins, nutrients, the different type of nutrients what we eat, okay, the different type of toxic substances which are released from the body, the gases like oxygen which is taken inside the body through the lungs. Similarly, the gases which should be released out like CO2 is also based. These all substances are present in the blood, they are also containing the hormones which has to be transported from site of formation to the site of action. So even the drugs what we take for the medicinal purposes will be also present in the plasma, blood particularly. So this is responsible for transportation of a lot of things. Its function helps to transport of substances, provide the body immunity. As I told, it will be responsible for providing the immunity to the body, okay, prevent blood losses, retain body in fluid, okay. This is something which will be discussed in the later slides as well. So it will be responsible for immunity. It has got some specific type of cells which are responsible for fighting against any foreign particles and hence provide the immunity. It also retains the fluid in body. Like plasma will be responsible for, it will be regulating the concentration of the water in our body. So hence it is also responsible for the maintaining the blood pressure. Okay. So whenever it's required, the more amount of water will be reabsorbed during the filtration in the excretory system in the kidneys. And whenever it is required, that higher amount of blood plasma is there, so it will be responsible for releasing out the water through the excretion or through the perspiration, and hence hence maintaining the blood pressure as well. And it also maintains the blood pH and conduct heat to skin. And how does it maintain the pH? Because there are a lot of substances present in the body which acts as a buffer. So these buffers are present in blood, and this blood is responsible for maintaining the pH which is required for the proper enzymatic function and hence functioning of body. Okay. So these are the different cells present in the body, present in the blood. Like this is the neutrophil. You can see the neutrophils having a lot of bulby structures, and hence you can say it's an irregular structure which has got different type of lobes. Okay, and like the nucleus will be having the different type of lobes. Basophils are also type of WBC, eosinophils, lymphocytes, RBCs. These are different type of cells that are present in the blood corpuscles. Now, apart from plasma, the other main component of the blood is the blood cells, which makes around 45% of total blood volume. And these blood cells are mainly found in bone marrow. They are formed in bone marrow. Not all of them are formed in bone marrow, but most of like the RBCs will be formed in the bone marrows. Okay, and formation is called as hemopoiesis. What is it called? It is called as hemopoiesis. Hemo is something related to the blood. Okay, poiesis means generation. And the tissue where these are formed are called as hemopoietic tissues, which are again found in the bone marrow. So these are different types like RBC. RBC are small biconcave in nature. WBCs are basically different types. It will be having a multi-lobed nucleus. Some of them may also having single-lobed nucleus. While the plates are the smallest one, which may not be having a very dense cytoplasm. A type of cells, blood cells, that is RBC, that is erythrocytes, or we can say red blood corpuscles. These are the most abundant elements in blood, and due to this abundancy, the blood is observed as a red in color. But whenever we observe the blood, it will be observed in red in color because of presence of RBC. It contains a specific type of protein which is called a hemoglobin. It is a globular protein responsible for carrying the oxygen along with it to the different part of body through the lungs. So whenever the lungs are basically taking in the oxygen, it will be absorbed by the oxygen. It will be taken up by the hemoglobin, and that will be taken to the different cells of my body. And the formation of erythrocyte is called as erythropoiesis. Okay, and mainly the site of formation of this RBC is the bone marrow. Leukocytes, leuco, it means the white or colorless, are called as white blood cells or white blood corpuscles. They lack hemoglobin, and apart from hemoglobin, they do not contain any other type of pigment, and hence they are colorless. Then nucleated, and this nucleus can be of different shapes. It can be without any lobe. It can be a spherical, or it can be having different type of lobes, multilobular. And this WBCs will be showing the amoeboid movement. It means they will be forming the pseudopodia, by which they will be engulfing any foreign particles coming within the body part, and hence responsible for providing the protection towards the different type of foreign particles. And thrombocytes, what are thrombocytes? These are again blood platelets, very small and colorless in nature, but they are also responsible for providing the preventing the blood loss during the injury and all that. Okay, so we'll be discussing about this function again in a separate chapter. The functions of the blood: it transports gases like oxygen particularly, and nutrients. As I've told you, whatever the nutrients food we eat, it has to be transported to different parts, and even the hormones, these all things are transported or taken care with by blood only. It maintains the constant body temperature. The movement of the blood will be responsible for constant body temperature maintenance. It provides immunity with the help of WBC cells. It maintains the water balance. If it is higher, it will be released off during excretion. If it is lower, it will be reabsorbed and retained inside the body. It regulates the pH due to having different type of buffers present within the blood, and it also responds for healing the injuries due to presence of platelets, and hence treating the damages occurred during the any sort of activity. Okay. So this was about the connective tissue. I hope it is clear to you, and in the next topic we'll be starting with the muscle tissue and then the neural tissue. Okay, so that was for time being. Now we'll be starting with the muscle tissues. Thank you.